What's going on, y'all? Looks like it's already official. Saul Canelo Alvarez will be returning December 19th. He has finally made his pick for an opponent, and it is none other than the WBA Super. WBA Super, by the way, not the regular, the Super. Uh, 168-pound champion, world champion in Callum Smith. Callum Smith, for those of you who do not know, is one of the top fighters at the division, and also it's already been 2 years if I recall that he won the WBSS tournament within that division that was participating back in season 1, and he fought I think it was George Groves in the finals for the world title that he won, the WBA Super world title. And I'm not mad at the decision that he's going to fight Callum Smith, to be honest, man. Because this is what we have been wanting to see from Canelo, man. We're not in the mood to see him fight all these like different European level type of fighters or soft touches anymore, man. Because like he doesn't really have that much time within the sport, as he is approaching 30, so like he really needs to pick up the pace, you know what I mean? As well as like other fighters within his age bracket, of course. But yeah, that's what is on the line right now, you know, WBA Super World title. Sorry about that, guys. I had to do something right now, but uh yeah, man, like this is a decent fight. I mean, and when I say decent, I mean like not to trash the fight or anything like that, because like this is a world champion, a legit world champion that Canelo's facing, and this is a start right now. There were reports in the past couple of weeks that he was gonna fight Caleb Plant, but they didn't go with that decision. I'm not gonna say who is to blame or anything like that, because we're not in the business of doing gossip over here. Uh, this is not my channel for that. So if you're looking for that, that's not me. It's just not part of my character as a man, of course. So uh, I was really hoping for the Caleb Plant fight, but it is what it is, man. Like, I mean, I don't doubt it, to be honest, that Canelo would look back into unifying in order to get that fight, you know, because when Canelo was like under Golden Boy, like he had like a very short leash on him, I gotta say, man. Because at one point he actually did wanted to unify middleweight, but then like he had to like retract on it. Uh, and I think it was like the people in power that were telling him that, you know, like that made him renege on that statement. So I think that he still wants to unify at least one of these divisions, you know, and I think it's going to be 168 pounds, like, because I don't believe that he will be able to make middleweight anymore, because the guy is a very stocky frame guy, and he's had that issue, man, like going back down in weight, like after he moved up in weight, because like if you saw in the Liam Smith fight. And by the way, uh, Callum Smith is, I think, the older brother of Liam Smith, and I'm surprised that you know the funniest part about like the Smith brothers, man. Like, I know it's not really that important or anything like that, but it's weird that Liam Smith is like 5'9", 5'8", but Callum Smith is like freaking 6'3" and shit. That is what makes me like scratch my head. I'm like, how the hell did he get that type of a growth spurt over his brother? You know what I mean? But I like this fight, man. I like this fight a lot, and this fight is gonna be on DAZN, by the way. So, for those of you who don't know, the venue is still yet to be decided, but Canelo did say, like in his interview, that he was going to try to get fans somehow in the arena. So to me, I think the best location would be Texas, in my opinion, because they've been hosting some events over in Texas, like even in San Antonio. I would love for the fight to be in San Antonio, by the way. But when Gervonta Davis fought Leo Santa Cruz, like he fought with fans in there, but it was at a limited capacity, obviously. So they're working on that, certain protocols and everything like that, and just to make sure that the fight generates enough. And there's fans in there just to watch in general. That's like the whole principle of it. But what can Callum Smith? Let's get to it. What can Callum Smith do in order to bring something that would like endanger Canelo? Well, Callum Smith has size, obviously, and I think he could use it a lot better than somebody like Rocky Fielding, who was very similar in dimensions and everything like that. And by the way, Callum Smith knocked out Rocky Fielding in the first round, whereas Canelo knocked him out in the third round. And I know like comparing opponents is not necessarily a good idea, but Callum Smith, man, like he is on that level, of the top super middleweight. So like I'm not gonna say that he's like domestic level or anything like that. Not at all. Not at all. But he is a world level opponent, and let me see, something left my mind just right now, and that was also very important to keep into consideration. Well, Canelo, he is still trying to adjust to fighting like all these larger fighters, like with these like longer reaches and dimensions and everything like that. Like I still see that he has like problems with dealing with a jab, like in his last fight with Kovalev, like he was getting hit with a jab a lot, man, believe it or not, whether it was regardless of like what you think of the outcome, man, like Canelo still has like problems with the jab ever since the Golovkin fight, man. That's like one of the main deterrents for fighting against Canelo. And when I see Callum Smith's jab, I think it's good, but not exactly like on that level of a Golovkin jab or even the Kovalev jab, because those two jabs like were some of the best in boxing. Like I mean, I ranked it up there, man. Like as one of the highest. Well, besides Jamal's jab and uh Naoya and Inoue jab, like those jabs were real good too. So, but Callum Smith, man, really uh has like the dimensions. I mean, I can't really say that he can box or anything like that because like he does not move like a Irislandy Lara. He's not necessarily like an athlete like that, nor like does he use like these like fluid type of movements or anything. Like I think he's pretty stiff when it comes like to his head movement, but he does understand like how to dictate range more or less. So like if he dictates range like how he did against George Groves, then it is going to make the fight very interesting in my opinion. But when I see Callum Smith, man, like Callum Smith does have some issues, like with fighting smaller fighters who are very elusive and can understand how to get on the inside. And I think Canelo like is starting to improve in that area a little bit more, but he still like I said earlier, like he still has problems with that jab. And if Callum Smith implements that jab into his regimen, it is going to be an interesting fight. I'm not going to lie. Uh, as for that aspect of it, man, like it's a hard thing like for smaller fighters to do, like try to get inside and avoid that jab, like even Mike Tyson, one of the greatest to ever do that, you know what I mean? To do that style specifically had some issues like going inside with a jab, I mean, you saw that in the Lennox Lewis fight, but uh yeah, that's just another example of it. So, but I think Canelo, man, really hasn't fought like well, Canelo hasn't fought like in a year. and he's going back down from 175 to 168 pounds. And a lot of people are going to say whether it's going to affect him or not. And personally, I don't think it's going to affect him too much, man, in my opinion, because like the guy is already stocky framed, and it's not like he's going back down to middleweight. That would have been a lot more worrying, cutting like what, 15 pounds, and like considering like how he fills out like on fight night. Yeah, man. If he went down to 160 pounds, which is middleweight, then that would have been more of an issue. But since it is 168 pounds, uh, not too much of a problem, to be honest, man. I mean, I was also going to talk about like the weight classes and judges and officiating. That's what kind of left my mind right now. But Golden Boy is no longer the promoter of Canelo. For those of you who don't know, there's been like an ongoing issue within Canelo's career, like with Golden Boy, like and who they want him to fight, and like there's these like conflicts that are happening behind the scenes that were happening behind the scenes when Canelo was with them, legalese and stuff like that, and it's been a reoccurring topic, but uh apparently that issue has already been resolved, but Canelo and his contract with the Zone is still like I don't know, man. Like I can't really say that he left it all together because like he is fighting on that platform next, obviously. So I'm pretty sure they're working out some type of deal, behind the scenes. And this is a fight that they wanted, I'm pretty sure because like it's a big fight and it's against a world champion, somebody legit. So that is something to keep into consideration. But when it comes like to the officiating and everything like that, I don't know, man. Personally, I really don't know because a lot of people say that it's Golden Boy that was doing that allegedly. But Canelo, you have to realize, man, Canelo is one of the biggest stars in boxing, period, man. Like when he's active and fighting live opposition, man, like it's really hard to go against him. And I can't really say like whether there's gonna be some type of a strange officiating, we're gonna get some 118, 110 cards again, or some strange card like beyond that stretch. So this fight is gonna be very telling of that, whether it's gonna have an effect or not. And if it does, man, it probably wasn't Golden Boy the whole time, man. It probably was just like the sport of boxing, in general, how it is. And personally, man, in my opinion, it might just be like the sport of boxing, because they see that Canelo is a very big fighter, and like you can't really uh shut him out like that, where you're just gonna dominate him because you're facing the machine, basically, man. So it's gonna be very interesting, man. Very interesting to see what happens in this fight in terms of the politics. Canelo as a fighter, whether he can perform like how he did. Uh, in recent years, that signature head movement, that superb defense. I mean, Canelo, man, is actually one of the most skilled fighters on the planet, man. Personally, I think it's Terrence Crawford, but Canelo, man, is just behind him, and they're very close. But Canelo, man, like facing Callum Smith, I think both of them are the same age. Both of them were born like in 1990. So, yeah, man, those are my thoughts on the fight. Let me know what y'all think. A fight week breakdown and prediction is coming the same week as the fight. For those of you who don't know how it goes on my channel with the format of these predictions, but I just wanted to get this one in and just talk about Canelo versus Callum Smith, man. Because I think it's a very good fight, and hopefully, like this leads on to better things, whether he wins or loses. Because I think people, regardless if Canelo loses any other fight, man, I think people are still gonna watch him. You know what I mean? Because of that style. basically. And if he continues like fighting like at the higher weights and stuff like that, it makes it a lot more interesting. Like it creates a dynamic of David and Goliath type of scenery, you know, with the little guy facing the much longer and taller guys that weigh more than him on fight night, and like he has to find his way to get inside in order to land some of his best shots and everything like that. But anyways, I appreciate y'all that we're gonna watch the playback. And yeah, that was my brief outline, so to speak, of it. But anyways, I'm about to go right now. Appreciate y'all and take care and peace.